The Mortal Kombat franchise isn't just about ninjas, blood, and fatalities. It's a 30-year cosmic saga about gods, betrayal, and a universe built on the broken body of a sleeping monster. And today, I'm walking you through the complete timeline, from the literal creation of reality to the new era Liu Kang built from scratch. Starting with the event nobody talks about, the one that made every single tournament necessary. The one being. Here's the thing most people don't know about Mortal Kombat. Every fight, every tournament, every realm invasion you've ever seen in this franchise exists because a primordial god got shattered into pieces, and those pieces became the world. Before anything existed, there was one single consciousness called the One Being. Not a god, not an emperor, an everything. An omnipotent entity so vast it fed on divine beings the way a flame feeds on oxygen. Two classes of cosmic entities existed back then: the Elder Gods and the Titans, both trapped, both serving as fuel, and both furious about it. So they rebelled. The Elder Gods forged 6 weapons called the Kamadogu, and they used them to do the unthinkable. They shattered the One Being apart. Every fragment of that destroyed consciousness became a realm: Earth Realm, Outworld, Edenia, Nether Realm, Order Realm, Chaos Realm, 6 worlds. Each one literally a piece of a sleeping god's broken body, and that god is still in there, still dreaming, still pulling at powerful beings across every realm, whispering the same idea across millennia: merge everything back together, reconstitute me, end all existence. That's the shadow hanging over every single MK story. The One Being isn't dead, it's waiting. After the shattering, the Titans and Elder Gods went to war over how to govern the mortals living inside these realm fragments. The Titans wanted predetermination, the Elder Gods wanted free will. The Elder Gods won, and the Titans vanished from history entirely. All except one, Kronika, the self-appointed keeper of time, who quietly stayed behind and built an hourglass to oversee all timelines. She is Shinnok's mother. She is Cetrian's mother, and she spent billions of years engineering a perfect balance between good and evil, because balance was the only thing keeping the One Being from waking up. To prevent any one realm from forcibly consuming another, the Elder Gods created one rule above all others: to legally invade a realm, you had to win 10 consecutive Mortal Kombat tournaments against it first. One rule, and almost every villain in this franchise spent thousands of years trying to get around it. But if you think the Elder Gods had control of the situation, wait until you hear what one of their own did next. Shinnok falls. Shinnok was an Elder God, one of the beings who shattered the One Being and built the rules everyone else had to follow. And he immediately decided the rules didn't apply to him. He had custodianship over Earthrealm, which apparently wasn't enough. He wanted to own it. So he forged a sacred amulet capable of weakening dimensional barriers and launched a full-scale war to seize Earth for himself. The young Thunder God Raiden, newly appointed as Earth's guardian, fought him in a conflict so devastating it lasted centuries and plunged the entire planet into darkness. The Sarian race, Reptile's ancestors, were nearly wiped out. The few that survived eventually fled to a separate realm called Zatera. The Elder Gods finally intervened, stripped Shinnok of his divine status, and banished him to the Nether Realm, a dimension literally ruled at the time by a being named Lucifer. Down there, Shinnok was tortured for millennia, until Quan Chi found him. Quan Chi started as an Oni demon who clawed his way up to human form through dark sorcery. He descended into the Nether Realm, helped Shinnok overthrow Lucifer, and the two of them reshaped hell in Shinnok's image. Shinnok founded the Brotherhood of the Shadow. Quan Chi became his most dangerous weapon, and the two of them began planning a return that would take thousands of years to execute. Meanwhile, Outworld was going through its own power struggle. The Dragon King, Onaga, ruled as the realm's first and most feared emperor. His army was functionally unkillable because soldiers could be endlessly resurrected through Onaga's own power. His most trusted advisor, a warrior named Shao Kahn, was too cowardly to challenge him direct, so he poisoned him instead, usurped the throne, and Onaga's army, loyal even in defeat, committed ritual mass suicide and was entombed alongside their dead king. Shao Kahn then spent centuries consuming realm after realm. Zatera, the vampire realm of Vaeternus, the Aztec lands, dozens of smaller kingdoms, all absorbed into Outworld. But his most personal conquest was Edenia. Approximately 10,000 years before the first tournament, Shao Kahn's forces won 10 consecutive Mortal Kombat matches against the peaceful realm of Edenia. He invaded personally, he killed King Jared with his own hands, he forced Queen Sindel into marriage, adopted their infant daughter Kitana, and raised her as his personal assassin, never once revealing who her real parents were. Sindel took her own life rather than serve. Her suicide created a mystical barrier that prevented Shao Kahn from entering Earthrealm direct, a detail that becomes critical later. Jared's soul wasn't released. It was trapped inside Ermac, a patchwork warrior made from thousands of fused souls that Shao Kahn kept as a weapon. And Kitana, daughter of murdered royalty, grew up believing she owed everything to the man who destroyed her family. But here's where it gets darker. darker. Shao Kahn didn't fully trust even her. He ordered Shang Tsung to create Mileena, a clone of Kitana fused with the DNA of the savage Tarkatan race. Insurance. In case Kitana ever remembered who she actually was, she would. And when she did, it would cost Shao Kahn everything. The 10th tournament. About 1,000 years before the first tournament, Shang Tsung hijacked an existing Shaolin competition and transformed it into the interdimensional Mortal Kombat system. He won 9 consecutive tournaments for Outworld. Then, a Shaolin champion called the Great Kung Lao stopped him in the 10th, saving Earthrealm. The Great Kung Lao defended Earth for a generation. Shao Kahn's answer was Goro, a four-armed Shokin prince standing 8 feet tall, over 2,000 years old, and completely unstoppable. Goro killed the Great Kung Lao roughly 500 years before MK1, and Shang Tsung consumed his soul. Goro then won 9 more consecutive tournaments, which meant Outworld was one single victory away from legal invasion. In the years immediately before that 10th tournament, 2 separate missions were quietly colliding. Quan Chi hired the Lin Kuei assassin, Bi-Han, the original Sub-Zero, to retrieve Shinnok's sacred amulet from the Temple of Elements deep in the Netherrealm. A Shirai-Ryu ninja named Hanzo Hasashi, better known as Scorpion, was hired for the same job by someone else. The two met. Bi-Han killed Scorpion on the spot. Then Quan Chi did something Bi-Han never knew about. He slaughtered the entire Shirai-Ryu clan, Scorpion's wife, his son, every member, and he framed Bi-Han for the massacre. He then resurrected Scorpion as a Hellspawn wraith, fueled entirely by vengeance against the wrong man. Sub-Zero completed the mission and retrieved the amulet. But here's the kicker. Quan Chi kept the real amulet and handed Shinnok a flawless forgery. Nobody knew. Not Shinnok, not Raiden, not Sub-Zero. The most powerful weapon in the Netherrealm was sitting in a sorcerer's pocket while everyone celebrated a victory that never happened. Then came the 10th tournament, Earthrealm's last stand. Liu Kang, a Shaolin monk trained in secret by the Outworld master Bo Raicho, who couldn't fight himself because his win would count for Outworld, defeated Goro's 500-year winning streak. Then defeated Shang Tsung, freed every soul the sorcerer had consumed for decades. During the tournament, Scorpion found Bi-Han and burned him alive, one of the most iconic kills in franchise history, made immediately tragic by the fact that Bi-Han was completely innocent of the massacre Scorpion blamed. Bi-Han's soul descended and was reborn as Noob Saibot, the shadow wraith named after creators Boone and Tobias spelled backward, a detail the developers hid in plain sight for years. Earthrealm survived, but Shao Kahn wasn't done, not even close. Outworld strikes back. Shao Kahn nearly executed Shang Tsung for losing, but the sorcerer talked his way out of it with one proposal: host the next tournament in Outworld itself. The rules stated that an invitation to Mortal Kombat cannot be refused. So Kahn restored Shang Tsung's youth, making him faster and deadlier than he'd been in centuries, and ordered Baraka and the Tarkatan hordes to raid the Shaolin temples on Earth first. A provocation, a message. The slaughter of Liu Kang's fellow monks was designed to guarantee Earthrealm's warriors would show up furious and reckless. Raiden gathered his fighters, and except 2 things changed everything in Outworld. The first was Sub-Zero. Kuai Liang, Bi-Han's younger brother, took up the mantle and entered Outworld to investigate his brother's death. When Scorpion encountered this new Sub-Zero, he realized immediately this wasn't the man who killed. In one of the franchise's earliest and most underrated character moments, Scorpion chose to become Kuai Liang's protector. The wraith who existed purely for vengeance decided the wrong man wasn't going to pay for his brother's crimes. The second thing was Kitana. Shao Kahn's most loyal assassin discovered the truth inside Shang Tsung's flesh pits. Her parents were the rightful rulers of Edenia. Kahn murdered her father. Her twin sister Mileena wasn't her sister at all, but a grotesque clone. Her own DNA spliced with Tarkatan genetics, created specifically as a replacement if Kitana ever turned against him. She killed Mileena in self-defense and began secretly feeding information to Earthrealm's warriors. Jade, sent alongside Reptile to hunt Kitana down, chose her friend over her orders. 2 of Kahn's most reliable assassins switched sides in a single tournament. Behind the scenes, the Lin Kuei Cyber Initiative was already running. The clan's leadership had decided their ninja warriors would be more useful as obedient cyborgs. Sector volunteered willingly. Cyrax was forced. Smoke and Sub-Zero both fled. Smoke was captured between tournaments and converted. Jax had both arms destroyed by Ermec's telekinetic power during the fighting, which is why he shows up in MK3 with full cybernetic replacements and zero explanation. Liu Kang fought through Kintaro, Goro's replacement, as sub-boss, then defeated Shao Kahn himself, punched a hole clean through his chest. But Kahn refused to accept the result, ordering his forces to attack anyway. Raiden and his warriors fled back to Earthrealm. The tournament was won. But 3 Lin Kuei cyborgs were now hunting Sub-Zero through the streets of Earth, and Shao Kahn had already activated a backup plan 10,000 years in the making. The invasion. 10,000 years earlier, when Shao Kahn conquered Edenia and forced Queen Sindel into marriage. She killed killed herself to create a mystical barrier keeping him out of Earthrealm. That barrier was tied to her life, so Khan had Shang Tsung's shadow priests resurrect her, not in Outworld, but on Earthrealm itself. With his queen now existing on Earth, Khan claimed a legal right to step through the dimensional gates and reclaim her. The Elder Gods had no mechanism to stop it. He walked in with his entire army and began merging Earthrealm with Outworld by force. The first thing he did was steal the souls of billions of humans simultaneously. Cities went empty overnight. Streets fell silent. Raiden scrambled to protect a handful of warriors' souls from the drain, though their bodies remained vulnerable. He gathered every defender he could find, including some unexpected ones. Stryker was an NYPD riot control officer who survived the soul drain with zero understanding of why. He got a vision telling him to travel west and fight. He had no powers, no divine lineage, no tournament history, just a gun, a badge, and an order from a god he'd never heard of. Cabal was a reformed Black Dragon criminal who was caught in the streets during the invasion and mutilated by Kintaro, one of Khan's enforcers. He survived only through respirators and full-body scarring, and became one of Earthrealm's most ferocious fighters out of pure spite. Johnny Cage was killed by Mataro, the centaur leader of Khan's extermination squads. The real-world reason, confirmed by creator John Tobias, was that Cage was the least selected character in MK2 arcade data, and they needed to cut someone. But in the fiction, it landed hard, because Cage had been there from the start. Sub-Zero reached Smoke inside the Lin Kuei cyborg program and restored his awareness, discovering the machine still had a soul underneath. He also reprogrammed Cyrax to target Shao Kahn. Cyrax malfunctioned before completing the mission and ended up buried in the Sahara Desert, deactivated for years. Kitana, now a fugitive accused of treason, fought her way through the invasion and reached her brainwashed mother. Jade helped her break Sindel's condition, turning the queen against the man who had manipulated her death and resurrection like a chess piece. Liu Kang defeated Shao Kahn for the third time, and this time, the defeat triggered a cosmic reversal. The illegal merger collapsed. Every stolen soul returned to its body simultaneously. Every dead city came back. The damage was undone at a scale that makes no logical sense, and the game absolutely commits to it anyway. Edenia was liberated, Kitana was free. But in the Netherrealm, a fallen elder god had just gotten his hands on the real sacred amulet, and he was done waiting. The champion falls. With Shao Kahn weakened from his third consecutive defeat, Shinnok finally made his move. He invaded Edenia using a traitor named Tanya, an Edenian noble who smuggled his forces through the dimensional gates disguised as refugees. From Edenia, Shinnok launched war against the heavens themselves, killing 3 of the 4 elemental gods protecting Earthrealm. Liu Kang defeated him for what appeared to be the 4th and final time, partly because the fallen elder god was still powered by Quan Chi's convincing forgery, not the real amulet. During the conflict, Scorpion finally learned the truth. Quan Chi revealed his role in the Shirai Ryu massacre, probably because he felt untouchable. He was wrong. Scorpion grabbed him and dragged both of them screaming into the Netherrealm, where he spent years hunting the sorcerer through hell itself. And while Quan Chi was trapped down there, he found something in a forgotten tomb that changed everything. The mummified remains of Onaga's undefeatable army. He also found a runestone explaining how to resurrect them by transplanting souls into the dead soldiers. He escaped the Netherrealm, approached Shang Tsung, and proposed the Deadly Alliance. 2 sorcerers, 1 plan, and before they started, 2 targets to eliminate. First, Shao Kahn. They caught him off guard and killed him in a surprise attack. The Conqueror of Realms, dead before he even knew the fight had started. Second, Liu Kang. This is the moment that still haunts the franchise. Shang Tsung disguised himself as Kung Lao and approached Liu Kang at the Wushu Academy. Liu Kang saw through the deception immediately and fought back. He was winning. Then Quan Chi struck from behind. Together, the 2 sorcerers overwhelmed Earthrealm's greatest champion, and Shang Tsung consumed his soul. Liu Kang, the man who defeated Goro, Shang Tsung, Shao Kahn, and Shinnok across 4 consecutive tournaments, was dead. Not in a climactic final battle, ambushed, 2-on-1, before a single player-controlled fight began. Raiden, who had ascended to Elder God status after MK4, relinquished his divine rank when the other Elder Gods refused to intervene. He gathered his surviving warriors for a direct assault on Outworld. They lost. Jax, Johnny Cage, Kung Lao, Sonya, Kitana, all slaughtered. Raiden faced the Deadly Alliance alone and was defeated. And then Onaga returned, his ancient consciousness inhabiting Reptile's body after the Zaterran was lured to a hatching dragon, so powerful that Raiden, Quan Chi, and Shang Tsung temporarily united against him. Raiden triggered a point-blank self-destruct explosion that destroyed the palace, killed Shang Tsung, and left Onaga completely unharmed. 0 damage. The only person who ultimately stopped Onaga was Shujinko, a man who had spent 46 years collecting the Kamidogu across all 6 realms, believing he was serving the Elder Gods. He wasn't. He was serving observing Onaga reaching beyond death, manipulating an entire lifetime of sacrifice to engineer his own resurrection. Shujinko shattered each Kamidogu, stripping Onaga of his invulnerability. Nightwolf then trapped the Dragon King's soul in the Netherrealm, but Raiden reformed after his explosion, and he came back wrong. The last battle, when Raiden rebuilt himself after the explosion, he came back in black armor with red eyes. Dark Raiden. Earthrealm's protector, corrupted beyond recognition. He struck a deal with Shao Kahn, who had apparently survived his earlier assassination, letting Kahn conquer other realms freely in exchange for leaving Earth alone. The god who spent thousands of years defending humanity was now selling out the rest of existence to protect one realm, and in his most disturbing act, he reanimated Liu Kang's corpse as a mindless zombie that went on a murderous rampage using the martial arts of a man who had died protecting the innocent. An Edenian sorceress named Delia had already seen where all of this was heading. Her vision was specific. Every warrior across every realm had grown so powerful over so many conflicts that their inevitable final confrontation would destroy all of reality. Not one realm, all of it. Her husband, Argus, Edenia's protector god, devised a failsafe. Their two sons, Tavin and Dagon, were placed in suspended animation and guarded by dragons, to be awakened when a fire elemental named Blaze signaled the crisis was imminent. Whoever defeated Blaze would become a god with the power to either destroy or depower every fighter alive, averting the apocalypse. The plan failed before it started. Dagon's dragon accidentally woke him centuries too early. Shinnok found the unstable young man and manipulated him into believing his parents favored Tavin, driving Dagon to murder both Argus and Delia, his own parents, in a rage. He then founded the Red Dragon clan and spent centuries positioning himself to reach Blaze first. Blaze himself had already been captured and corrupted by Onaga's cultists, meaning the fail-safe mechanism was broken before anyone even knew the crisis had officially begun. And then, the Battle of Armageddon happened. Every warrior in the Mortal Kombat universe, light and dark, hero and villain, converged on the Pyramid of Argus in the Southlands of Edenia for a final all-out war. The canonical outcome, confirmed by MK9's opening cinematic, was total catastrophe. Shao Kahn defeated Blaze and absorbed godlike power. Nearly every fighter in the franchise died on those pyramid steps. The camera sweeps across the carnage before the end. Scorpion, with Sub-Zero's Cory blade through his spine. Johnny Cage crumpled on the stones, Shang Tsung dragged backward off the summit by zombie Liu Kang's chain hooks at the last second for the end. Two combatants remained when it was over. Shao Kahn, standing with godlike power, and Dark Raiden, barely alive at his feet. As Kahn raised his wrath hammer for the killing blow and demanded the location of the Elder Gods, Raiden's amulet shattered. In his final seconds, he gathered the fragments and did the only thing he had left. He sent a message backward through time. Fragmented, desperate. 3 words burned into the past for a younger version of himself to receive. He must win. The original timeline ended there, not with heroes triumphant, with a villain standing on a pyramid of corpses and a dying god's last gamble echoing through time. Raiden's mistake. MK9 opens at Armageddon's end, then snaps backward to the first tournament on Shang Tsung's island. Past Raiden gasps as visions flood his mind. He notices his amulet has cracked, and throughout everything that follows, that amulet acts as a barometer. Every time one of his interventions fails, it cracks further. The message is clear before the first fight is even finished. He is going to make things worse. His first intervention fails immediately. He offers to have the Elder Gods resurrect the entire Shirai Ryu clan if Scorpion agrees to spare Bihan. Quan Chi intercepts the negotiation and projects false visions of the massacre directly into Scorpion's mind. Scorpion kills Bihan anyway. The amulet cracks. Raiden realizes the future is unchanged and starts making bigger moves. The biggest one backfires catastrophically. In the original timeline, Sub-Zero escaped the Lin Kuei cyber conversion, while Smoke was captured and transformed. Raiden intervenes to save Smoke this time, which means Kuai Liang is captured instead and forcibly turned into Cyber Sub-Zero, a version that never existed in the original games. Raiden also pushes Kung Lao forward as champion, empowered by the moment and by Raiden's encouragement. Kung Lao is spectacular. He defeats Shang Tsung. He defeats Quan Chi. He defeats Kintaro back-to-back with 0 recovery time. He turns around to celebrate, and Shao Kahn walks up behind him and snaps his neck. A death that never happened in the original timeline, caused entirely by Raiden's interference. Every intervention follows the same pattern. He saves one person and dooms another. He empowers one hero and gets them killed. The retold invasion of Earthrealm is where everything collapses completely. Raiden kills Motaro personally to save Johnny Cage, which enrages Shao Kahn into sacrificing Shang Tsung to supercharge Sindel with thousands of souls. The result is the Sindel massacre. While Raiden is away petitioning the Elder Gods, Sindel arrives at the Heroes' Cathedral and kills nearly everyone in a single scene. Jax, Smoke, Cabal, Stryker. Cyber Sub-Zero, Jade, her own daughter Kitana, all gone. Nightwolf burns himself up to take her down, but the damage is done. The cathedral is full of corpses. Everyone Raiden was trying to save, dead because of the chain reaction his choices created. Then comes the moment that defines the entire game. Raiden finally decodes the message. He must win means Shao Kahn must be allowed to merge the realms illegally, forcing the Elder Gods to destroy him for breaking cosmic law. He tells Liu Kang. Liu Kang, standing over the bodies of every friend he has ever had, looks at him and says that is insane. When Raiden physically blocks him from attacking Kahn, Liu Kang snarls that Raiden is his enemy. He charges. Raiden raises a defensive electrical barrier. The energies collide. Liu Kang is electrocuted and incinerated simultaneously. Killed by his own mentor's last desperate gamble. His dying words land like a verdict. You have killed us all. Raiden lets the invasion proceed. The Elder Gods destroy Shao Kahn. The amulet heals. Armageddon is averted. 3 heroes survive: Raiden, Johnny Cage, and Sonya Blade. Everyone else became a revenant, their souls claimed by Quan Chi for Shinnok's army. The price of saving the timeline was losing almost everyone in it. A new generation. 2 years after MK9 ends, Shinnok launches an immediate invasion targeting the Jinsei, Earthrealm's mystical lifers, housed in Raiden's Sky Temple. During the assault, Johnny Cage discovers something inside himself that nobody anticipated. A green energy, inherited from an ancient Mediterranean war cult that selectively bred superhuman warriors across generations. It activates instinctively when someone he loves is in danger. Johnny defeats Shinnok and imprisons him inside his own amulet. Raiden restores 3 revenants to human form: Jax, Scorpion, and Sub-Zero, but the rest, Liu Kang, Kitana, Kung Lao, Jade, remain permanently corrupted. 25 years later, Johnny and Sonya are divorced, and their daughter, Cassie Cage, leads a new Special Forces unit alongside Jackie Briggs, Takeda, and Kung Jin. In Outworld, Kotal Khan has deposed Mileena in a coup and a civil war is burning. His trusted First Minister Devora executes Mileena by feeding parasitic insects directly into her face, then immediately reveals she was working for Quan Chi the entire time. When Scorpion decapitates Quan Chi in a moment of uncontrollable vengeance, the dying sorcerer releases Shinnok from the amulet with his last breath. Shinnok enters the Jinsei and transforms into something monstrous. Cassie Cage awakens her father's inherited power and defeats him. A direct passing of the torch where the next generation saves the world the previous generation nearly destroyed. Then, MK11 reframes the entire franchise. Kronika, revealed as Shinnok's mother and one of the original Titans who secretly stayed behind after the Elder Gods' war, has been manipulating every timeline across billions of iterations to keep Raiden and Liu Kang fighting each other. Because their combined power is the only thing she genuinely fears. She merges past and present timelines, creating collisions of identity that the franchise had never attempted before. Young, arrogant Johnny Cage meets his older, humbler self. Past Liu Kang confronts his own evil revenant. Past Kitana rallies Baraka and the Shokan to lead Outworld herself. Past Sonya kills past Kano, which simultaneously eliminates the present-day version, establishing that killing your own history erases your future. When Raiden discovers the scale of Kronika's manipulation, he realizes the only path forward requires destroying himself. He merges his divine essence with both the human and revenant versions of Liu Kang simultaneously, creating Fire God Liu Kang, a being wielding fire and lightning who exists outside Kronika's control of time. Liu Kang defeats and kills Kronika, inherits the hourglass, and prepares to restart reality entirely. But Shang Tsung returns from Kronika's void prison, claiming the hourglass needs Kronika's crown to function properly. His quest to retrieve it is a long con. After absorbing the souls of Nightwolf, Raiden, Fujin, Sindel, Shao Kahn, and Kronika herself, Shang Tsung stands at the hourglass with everything he needs to rewrite existence in his image. Fire. God Liu Kang arrives and destroys him, erasing him completely from the timeline. Then Liu Kang walks to the Wushu Academy before the great Kung Lao, the original tournament champion from 500 years prior, and says, "You are humble, not like the Kung Lao I knew." He had already chosen his starting point. He was going to build something better. The new era. Fire. God Liu Kang spent eons designing his new timeline at the hourglass, then handed control of the device to Geras and descended into the world as its protector god. His philosophy was deliberate and compassionate. Rather than erasing villains, he gave former threats what they needed, hoping satisfaction would prevent corruption. He left mortals with genuine free will, knowing his utopia could fail, and accepting that risk anyway. The reinventions are staggering. Raiden is now a humble farmer, chosen as Earthrealm's champion, and eventually gifted a lightning amulet, completing the role reversal with the god who once held that role. Mileena is not a clone, but Kitana's legitimate twin sister and heir to the Outworld throne, secretly suffering from the Tarkat disease. Now now a contagious illness rather than a racial trait. Baraka was once an ordinary merchant who contracted Tarkat and leads his people as outcasts. Sindel rules as a genuinely benevolent empress. And in the franchise's boldest identity swap, Scorpion is now Kuai Liang wielding fire, while Bihan wears blue and becomes the story's primary villain, seduced by Shang Tsung's promises of power. Bihan reveals he allowed his own father to die to seize control of the Lin Kuei. The brother who was always framed as the villain in the original timeline is now the hero, and the one who was always the reluctant good man is the one who falls. A lowly sorcerer named Shang Tsung is being guided by a mysterious entity called Damashi, who teaches him dark magic in secret. Damashi is Titan Shang Tsung, the version from the non-canonical MK11 ending, where Shang Tsung won the Hourglass battle and ascended to Titan-level power in a separate branch of the fractured timeline. He invades Liu Kang's new era with an army from his dark timeline. Liu Kang reclaims his Titan powers from Geras, and the final battle erupts on the Pyramid of Argus, the exact site where the original timeline's universe ended, now serving as the stage where the new era proves it can survive. Multiverse armies clash on the pyramid steps. Monstrous hybrid fighters from conquered timelines fill the ranks. Liu Kang's chosen champion defeats Titan Shang Tsung. Liu Kang erases both the dark variant and his entire timeline from existence, but the multiverse keeps threatening. Titan Havoc, an anarchist from a conquered order realm in another timeline, begins merging realities using the Kamidogu. Bihan is transformed into Noob Saibot through chaos magic. Scorpion, alongside newly introduced female variants of Cyrax and Sector, defeats Havoc and begins pulling the splintered timelines back towards stability. Here's what all of it means. Every version of Mortal Kombat that has ever existed is canonically real somewhere in the infinite multiverse. The original timeline, the rebooted timeline, the new era, parallel branches where different champions won. Liu Kang built a better world, but the scars of every previous timeline are still out there, and they keep finding their way in. 30 years of blood. And the fight is nowhere close to over. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, click the video on the screen now.